Like I definitely was like kind of a weird experimenter growing up with a lot of career oriented things. Like I always had some sort of extracurricular focus. Like I was lucky because I think I asked my parents, I was like, can I do this like abroad program? Basically, and basically every summer after sophomore year of high school, I would do these summer programs where it was like just exploring some interest area. And it was kind of my choosing. So I definitely, even um, traveling abroad at a couple points, like during my high school journey, which I think a lot of kids don't necessarily get a chance to do that. So when I went to college and when I was going through kind of these questions about my career, I also took the advantage of the opportunity to go abroad and, study a few different interest areas that would still kind of correspond to some of my environmental studies coursework. So I remember like basically having to sit down with the academic chair for, the School of Sciences at USC. And I was just like, hey, I kind of am having this feeling that I just basically gave an explanation. Like I want to meld kind of climate science with communicating to the general public, either through advocacy, through policy. I wasn't really sure what it was yet. And they were really supportive of that, luckily, and actually allowed me to swap out some of my environmental studies course credits for other classes that maybe didn't even have any relevance. So I remember like taking a few entrepreneurship classes that, they were like, well, as long as you focus kind of your projects on something that's like sustainability related, then we'll let you like swap that out for credits towards your major. So I got to kind of pick and choose a few classes that maybe weren't necessarily like on this strictly like environmental science path, so that I could still graduate with my degree in environmental science. But really, the social entrepreneurship was so interesting. Was there really was a light bulb moment. I was working in a nonprofit class that was offered through that minor, and it was because I thought that it was potentially that I wanted to go into nonprofit work. And one of the things that we had to do was get actually an internship in the community at a nonprofit. It would be unpaid, but it would go towards your course credit. And so I was working at an urban garden that was attached to an elementary school. And it was a Title I school where kids were on primarily the free breakfast, free lunch program. And I started noticing like kids were coming to class eating Twinkies and Cheetos, and at school lunch, pizza sauce and French fries counted as your daily vegetable. And it was the same time that kids were coming into the garden and they were seeing a fresh carrot or fresh tomato for the first time. And these are elementary school kids. They're pretty young. But to me, that was just like, oh my goodness, like, what are we feeding our kids? Like at lunch, they're not even seeing they're not even seeing vegetables kind of in true form. And they're relying on their schools for 2 of their meals of the day. So I was really blown away by that. I wanted to figure out like how we could, it was kind of just more of like access to healthy food. I was like, this is just really wrong. I think that, especially when we drive through certain communities in South Los Angeles, it's like there's a lack of grocery stores, there's a lack of fresh food available or healthy food available. And it leads to so many community health issues that really set communities back. And I also noticed in the schools, like kids were having trouble focusing. And there were a ton of things that like we would talk about as teachers in the garden specifically, which was like a nonprofit program that really was operating out of the school as part of their curriculum. But the teachers would talk about that too. Like, how do we hopefully like, we were even talking about like, how do we bridge the fresh food from the garden and kind of bring it into some of the school meals? That wasn't really possible given the meal contracts that the school district had. So anyways, food became an obsession to me. And it was like really the connection between healthy people, healthy environment, and really how that all kind of connected through the similar thread of food. And then I was at a friend's house, saw her juice a carrot the same semester. And I was like, okay, here we have the issue of a lack of access to healthy food. And over here, I have a friend who drove miles to go get organic carrots, is juicing them, and has more than half of the vegetable that's going to waste and doesn't know what to do with it and just throws it away. So, it was actually kind of a connection between those two issues. And given my background in environmental science, which helped me when she was juicing the carrot, I actually took notice. I was like, that's a lot of waste. And I was like, what are you going to do with that? Like, I couldn't believe that she was going to throw it away in the trash. And then on the other side, seeing kind of a lack of access. And I think that's kind of where we see like how so many of the different choices and kind of the path that our life has taken gives us a unique eye to just notice problems in the world and notice like things that maybe other people would quickly glance over or not really take like a true awareness to, given each of our unique paths and our unique perspective and our unique experiences. And I think each of us does have this like different type of way we're observing the world. And so for me, that was something that, observing that issue or both of those issues was why I wanted to build what is now Pulp Pantry, or my business, which really is kind of that connection of where are really nutritious resources going to waste, and how can we use those nutritious resources to make it easier for people to eat healthy, eat their fruits, vegetables, and fiber.